Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's podcast. Listen, y'all, I am super excited. We are a little late, but better late than ever. We had a little technical difficulties, but I'm so glad that so many of you still had the anticipation that Lenore Porras was going to deliver on tonight's podcast. So we have so many people that are tuned in on tonight. So make sure that you comment, make sure that you like, make sure that you love and share this podcast. I'm telling y'all, you guys are in for a treat. But before we get started, Dr. Haire, just say hello to the audience before I do a few shout outs.
All right. Hello, everyone. I am the reason that we are late. We had issues with lighting. It's gonna be real talk.
It is. It's going to be amazing tonight. So far we have Brianna. She is on tonight. She says, "Good evening, good evening, Brianna." We have Tony is on. She stated also, good evening, Tony." Mabel is on. Good evening, Mabel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Brianna said, "We are excited about this show tonight." I am too, Brianna. I really am. Marjorie is on. Thank you so much. Good evening. Marjorie is tuning in all the way from Texas. So I'm excited. We have people from Texas, South Carolina, and North Carolina that are tuned in on tonight. So listen, y'all, make sure that you share this podcast. Our theme for tonight, we're going to be a little bit all over the place, but the theme that we had on Dr. Haire's flyer was bridging the gap to poor. Also, Asia is on. She said, "Hey, Dad."
Hey, baby.
So your baby is on tonight.
Yeah, boy, that's my
Kalea
special girl.
That's all right. Kalea from California is on. Thank you so much, Kalea, for tuning in. My friend, former colleague, April Ogden, all the way from Georgia, is on. Hello, April. She stated that she's happy to be here. So, Dr. Haire, you are going to be pouring to a lot of people from all over the globe on tonight. So, just to begin, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
All right, I'm Tony Haire, the son of Dr. Walter J. and Emma Haire of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Have four or three brothers and a sister. Serrana, my baby sister, she still thinks that she's, a kid. I have a beautiful wife, Denise Haire, and my beautiful daughter, Asia, who's tuning in. Probably my granddaughter is probably somewhere around there running around. But born and raised right here in the beautiful city of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and the comfortable county of Cumberland. And born and raised on what we call home, the Murchison Road, a place we love to death. I am currently a behavioral health consultant with CREP Behavioral Health, but my main job is a John Maxwell leadership and development speaker, coach, and trainer with a company that I own called Influence One. And just so that everyone knows, Miss Lenore, I just signed last week a national and international distribution, music recording and publishing deal with Empire Distribution, one of the largest distributors of music in the country. And so we're currently in the midst of signing artists of all genres of music, because music belongs to God. It's just the lyrics that we have to help our artists with.
Good stuff. Good stuff. That is amazing, Dr. Harris. So it sounds like you have a lot of phenomenal things that are taking place in your life, and you're utilizing those different pipelines to help make an impact in your community and also throughout the United States and possibly globally as well. So you mentioned that you are from the Murchison Road area. Now, before you became Dr. Haire, let's dissect this conversation just a little bit. Before you became Dr. Haire,
yes,
what was, I will say, previous to Dr. Haire? What took place previous to Dr. Haire when you were on the Murchison Road? Do you mind divulging a little bit about your past?
Yes, we'll tap in. I told you when we were going to do this that no questions would be off limits. I spent a lot of my time in the area of pharmaceuticals. Okay.
Okay.
But my lifestyle, after and brought up by outstanding parents, but a lot of us get or we make decisions and choices to become part of a lifestyle that my mom and dad, when we sit around and we talk sometime now, my mom always tells me that when my father always tried to steer us boys all in the right direction, laying a
Okay.
great foundation for us. But I chose the street life because I wanted my money, and I wanted my money now. And my dad did everything he could to be the perfect example of a father who was going to college and working 2 and 3 jobs. And my mom, she was working at New Bowl Elementary, then the Department of Social Services and stuff, but that wasn't helping Tony. And
Okay.
so I ran across some of the cats I knew in the hood who were taking advantage of the opportunities that were available to us. So I decided I would join that group of individuals and started off, as a corner boy in the street. And then we went straight to spots because we had spots we hustled out of at that time versus just hanging on the streets because we didn't want to attract the attention of the police because we weren't doing things that were legal.
Right.
Met a lot of different individuals during that time frame, and I rose from just being a guy in the spot to a main guy where I became my own guy and had my own network. I've always had a good knack for business and always had the ability to influence people.
Mm.
Unbeknownst to me that it was a gift that God had given to me, I was using the gift for the wrong reason. And
Okay.
one thing that we do know that God doesn't take back the gift. If you're going to sing bad songs, you got the gift to sing bad songs. I had the gift to influence people to go in the wrong direction, and I used that gift to the maximum.
Mm.
From traveling from here to then I, moved from the Merc, and as I grew and in the game, I actually just New York, Virginia.
Wow.
A lot of traveling at that time because during that time you could travel and didn't have to worry about um, uh, getting gaffled by the alphabet boys because the security wasn't the way that it is right now. So, you could fly birds here and there and didn't have a problem with it, put it that way.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So again, it's very important for those who are watching or may know someone who may be in this lifestyle that change can take place.
Oh, yeah.
Transformation can take place in a person's life. And we're going to unpack some additional things, but we do have some other
Absolutely.
people that have joined. And I do want to recognize them. Roderick, he's on. He said, "Hello, everyone." Renee Stokes Gibbs. You
Yeah.
may know her. She's a heavy hitter in the city of Fayetteville, North Carolina. She's
Okay.
on tonight. Thank you so much, Renee, for joining. And Brianna said, good point, using gifts for the wrong reason. Because I am one person that truly believe that everybody was born with at least one gift.
Mm-hmm.
Some people born with multiple gifts, but it's up to us, as you stated,
Yes.
to utilize those gifts for the right reason. And you
Mm-hmm.
said that your parents were parents that were good parents and try to
Excellent parents. Yeah.
steer you in the right direction, but you stated that you just wanted to make your own money. But what was something else that kind of drove you to that point other than just making your own money? Or was it something else that pulled you into the direction to go left when your parents were trying to steer you to go right?
Well,
Hello, Deanna. Thank you for joining. Go ahead, doctor.
my father always told me, and growing up, that, and my brothers, that we could be anything that we wanted to be. He always taught us the value of an idea. It was one of the most important things that we could have was an idea. But in order for that idea to come to fruition, we had to work it. I chose to work my idea in becoming, I just didn't want to be in the game. I wanted to be the game. And so with the mentality like mine, I always believed I had more control over you than you had over you, because I was willing to cross the line that you would not think about crossing. Because I allowed my mind to go places that most people wouldn't allow their minds to go. Coming up the way that I did, my dad really teaching us about the power of the mind. I
Mm-hmm.
used that power, as I said, for other reasons, and found out that I had exactly what I thought I had, that it factor, the ability to influence people, to move the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And as you had mentioned earlier, that everyone has a gift, and you may not always recognize what your gift is doing the wrong thing. See, the
Right.
gift refuses to lie dormant because it wasn't placed within you to lie dormant. The gift is connected directly to the potential that you have from the source that created you. And with all of that, that was going on in my life,
Mm-hmm.
I just knew that I I really I wanted to be next to Pablo Escobar, El Chapo, people like that. That was
Wow.
my mindset growing up. Since a little boy, my dad and my mom used to always tell me to, I used to watch television so much as a little boy, but I didn't watch regular stuff on TV. I watched James Cagney. I watched the gangster movies since a little kid. So that was a part of my makeup. And then I had
Um,
an uncle, my uncle Tommy, who's my dad's brother, who's a tough guy. And I was from Uncle Tommy. I would consider him, a gangster. And I used to hear all the time, he's going to be just like his Uncle Tommy. I started believing that. And so I started going in that direction, thinking, I'd say now, I would say, Miss Lenore, more highly of myself
mm,
and than I should have. Never got gaffled or caught up in any drama, because it was a business to me. It wasn't
mm.
it wasn't a game. It wasn't anything to play with. It wasn't going past go collecting $200. My mind was totally sold off into this. I was very strategic about it, to the point where a lot of times my partners would call me mastermind, because I was always thinking of how to win, how to not get caught. I had a goal, a plan every day, a certain amount of income I had to make before I turned the lights out at night.
Wow.
I was very aggressive with my situation. Very, very, very aggressive with my situation.
Wow. Wow. And not glorifying your past life, but
No.
using your past life as, you know, a foundation on who you are now.
Yeah.
What was the most that you made a day?
Hey, we we could say that it's hard to put that in dollars and cents, but there was a certain amount that I had to make every day that exceeded what some people made uh, their salary was, or what their yearly income was. This wasn't
Wow.
a game. This was real life. Because see, I was what a lot of people's children want to be today. And
Wow.
that's why I can connect with their children today and their
Right.
young men today. Because even I am a believer in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I go as hard for that as I did
Right.
for the game. So I'm
Right.
able to connect directly to their kids and have the kind of conversation with them that the parents won't have, even though they haven't always been who they say they are. See, there's no shame in my game. And when the kids or young people see there's no shame in your game, they don't mind talking to you because they know you're not fronting.
Right. Right. So in the game that you were in, and I saw that you were called London Fog, was that correct?
You got it.
So as London Fog, how close did you ever get to a point that you were almost close to either getting locked up or close to death?
That all depends on how you view it, because you're always close to death in the game, because you don't know wherever your position in the game always shines a light on you. You got the haters, you got the guys that's down with you that want to get you. You got the alphabet boys that want to get you. So you're always uh, there's always an opportunity for someone to come at you. And there were a lot of shootouts. There were a lot of, and see, this is during the time when Compton was really, I mean, it was really, really, really bad. I mean, we bought drive-bys here to the Murchison Road. We bought drive-bys here all over the city because it was nothing to deal with you. Especially if you thought you was tough. The objective was to show you, you're not who you think you are, because there was territory that you're always trying to take. There are moves that you're always trying to make. And so it's like playing chess. If you play chess, you know what the queen, what the king, what the rook, what the horse, what the bishop, and you know what the pawns can do. And you move those pieces around on the chessboard to get the so-called king into checkmate. And it
Wow.
was a game that you play every day, but it was a serious game with the understanding that it had a shelf life. The window's
Mm,
always closing. The thing to
wow.
do is don't get trapped on the other side and don't get caught in the window as it closes.
Wow, that's good. That's a good point that you just made. And again, you all, Dr. Haire is sharing his story on how he left from being London Fog, the hustler, to now he's been a change agent. He has so many titles that we're going to get to in a little bit. But we have a question for you, Dr. Haire. Brianna
Uh-oh.
wants to know, what are those conversations like with the youth? You stated that you were able to
Yes.
relate to the youth. So what are those conversations like? What does those conversations consist of?
And Mrs. Brianna, if you don't try to, and I'm gonna answer your question, but when you don't try to qualify the conversation, but it's the ear that the youth wants. They want to be heard. It's not that you can fix their issue. It's not that you can change their circumstance, but most parents don't listen to
Mm,
their children.
wow.
They don't, it's not, they're too busy. See, they've gotten so busy and they've gotten so fragmented into everything else that they don't have the time to listen to little Johnny. So, in the time that I was in the street, I'm gonna listen to little Johnny because I got a job for little Johnny. And there
Wow.
are individuals like me out there today just waiting for you not to raise your child because we have something for them to do. Some of the conversations that I may
Mm,
have with youth, especially those who, because they watch a lot of videos now and they see the glamour of the hip hop video. And
right.
most of those individuals have never been on the side that I'm talking about. They've been around people who
Mhm.
have been involved in things and they're telling that person's story. And that's why a lot of them get trapped off, see, because they don't move with the stealth necessary. See, that you need to make it out. And so they do get caught in the glamour of it.
Mhm.
So I try my best to, when I'm talking with our youth, I try my best to listen to what they have to say. And if they ask me personal questions about myself, I share with them, not in this from the standpoint of this is what you can do, because it's only by the grace of God that I made it out. It's only
Right.
by God's grace that I made it out. His inexhaustible supply of goodness towards us, something that we cannot earn, something that we do not deserve, and something that we could never, ever repay. So I try to give the kids my ear because I want them to know that if no one else will hear you, son, I will. Little girl, I will hear you. And before you leave my presence, we're going to take care of your issue. That's what keeps them coming back.
Wow, that's good stuff. That's good stuff, Dr. Hare. Even Sherry stated, wow, powerful stuff. And she also echoed your sentiments in regards to listen to your children. It's so imperative to listen to your children.
Absolutely.
And and like you stated, you have people out here. There are people out there that are preying on those kids that
Absolutely.
the parents are not parenting and say,
Yes.
hey, you know what? You want them shoes? Let me have you to be a little runner or to
Yeah.
watch. all that kind of stuff. So it's very important that parents parent your children, listen to them,
Absolutely.
be present. And
Yes,
that's important, not just physically present, but giving them your ear, as you
that's
stated,
right.
when they are talking to you, because a child can tell when you're present in the conversation,
Yes,
or when
ma'am.
your mind have like wandered off to something else. And in this day and time, Dr. Harris, to me, with so much technology out there, not
Yes,
technologies, but technology, you have parents that are so consumed in their phone, in their iPads, in their notebooks, and the kids don't have that one-on-one time with the parents. So
absolutely.
it's very important that, hey, carve out some time where this phone is placed to the side, or that iPad is placed to the side, and that child has your undivided attention, because what you don't give your child, someone else in the streets will. So that's
Absolutely. We live
important.
in a capitalistic society, and what we all have to grasp and clearly understand, even the street needs employees.
Um,
See, an application process is not as thorough as the application process when looking for employment. We don't need to go through, you ain't got to fill out the whole application. You know what I'm saying? Only
mm,
thing we need to know is that you are available.
show up.
And when you're available, someone always has something to fill that
Mhm.
space of availability. And I think that a lot of times, what I have found out in treatment is that a lot of our parents are, they are, a lot of them didn't accomplish, or have not at this particular point in time accomplished the goals that they had set in life.
Right.
They got in a bad relationship, they got pregnant, or they something happened, they didn't finish school, some traumatic event. So now that they have the youth, they don't have the time because they're thinking about what they didn't achieve. And then you have those who try to live their lives through their child. Then
Yes.
you have those who have their children doing all the babysitting. So the child never gets an opportunity to go through the stages of child development. They're automatically thrust into being an adult. And then the parent has the audacity to ask them, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? You not being responsible. I mean, I don't mean to be a little strong, on your
No,
show,
no,
but
no, no. You're speaking facts. Those
I'm
are
just,
facts. Keeping
I'm
it
just
raw,
really trying to
real, and
help you
100.
understand, because every adult who is a parent sets out to be a good parent. That's
Right.
that they set out, just like the runner who gets in the starting blocks to run the 100 meter. He really has practiced. He really has done everything. But somewhere in the race, they decide they're not going to win, so they give up. And that's what
Mhm.
happens with our parents today. They give up. And the reason is because a lot of it has to do with they don't understand. They have other people's concepts of themselves. So their precept of themselves is other people's concepts. So what other people think about them is what they become, or it's what they think about. And whatever you think about, you will become. As this as sure as you continue to think it,
Wow.
5, 10 years going down the road, and you're exactly what you were thinking.
Yeah, because you even alluded to that a little bit earlier when you say that you were watching those gangster movies,
Yes.
and you was
That's
like,
how I wanted to be.
I want to be like, Al Capone. I'm gonna say that one because I don't remember
Yeah.
the other name
Yeah.
that you gave, but that was like the power of influence.
Yes, yes, yes. The
And
thing that Miss Lenore, and I studied it so much as a kid, that Al Capone was not even the tough guy. Frank Nitti was the guy, Al Capone's right hand man. Just like Maya Lansky for the gangsters. For it was Maya Lansky and Frank Nitti. Those were the guys. The other families weren't all of that. I mean, I used to study this stuff like a book. I wake
wow,
up and go to bed. I wanted to be a combination of Frank Nitti and Maya Lansky, because Maya Lansky was an outstanding mathematician, and Frank Nitti was just a great businessman that didn't have a problem, putting one in you.
wow, wow. So listen, let me get some of these comments in, Dr. Hare. Um, Here it states, allow a child to be a child. Yes, that is what
Yes,
Dr. Haire stated. Let a child be a
absolutely.
child. Stop, parents, allowing your 6-year old children take care of your 3-year old and your 2-year old. Allow them to be a child. And I'm
Absolutely.
going to do a little insert, a plug. Please, if you're on this podcast, like and share this podcast with someone. This podcast is transformational, it's empowering,
Yes.
it's motivating, and we want people to become knowledgeable
Yes, ma'am.
on different things. And we're covering
Absolutely.
various topics on tonight. Tony said, well, let me read this one here. It said, although you may seem like the race is unwinnable, keep running.
Keep
And
running.
that's for adults, that's for teenagers, that's for
That's right.
children. Listen, run the race. As long as you cross the finish line, that's what counts. It doesn't matter if you come in first, second,
That's
or
right.
third place.
Yeah.
Listen, you cross the finish line.
Yes.
Tony said, whatever you think about, you will become. Wow. And I think that's something that you stated earlier,
Yes,
Dr.
ma'am.
Hare, and
Yes,
she was
ma'am.
just echoing that. And
Yes.
Roderick said, so true. And Bougie Bee Photography is on and stated, enjoying the podcast tonight. Very informative. I absolutely agree. Very, very informative. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Hare, in
Yeah.
regards to children, because I can tell like the youth is something that you're very passionate about.
Absolutely.
What type of initiative could possibly be established where we can influence our youth in a more positive aspect to get them off the street and to change the mindset that, hey, the gang banging life and the life of, crime or this quick money is not the way to go? What type of ideas or initiatives have you done in the past or have you thought about implementing?
For first, I like to just make a statement, Miss
Okay.
Lenore, and that is that the number one thing that will help our young men uh, take a different route in life is our grown men getting back involved.
Ooh, yes.
That's one of the biggest issues we have for the African American culture
Okay.
is that where are the black men?
Yes.
You see, our boys need to see people like us going into a boardroom. They
Right.
need to see people like us doing other things besides just playing ball, or some other sport. Those things are great, but there
Right.
must be a plan B because you can only do all of those things for so long. And I
Right.
think that what we have failed to do, we have actually, our males, we have actually become or are becoming the picture of what they show us on the CBS Evening News. They say
Mm,
it so much that we begin to think it and become
yes.
it, not understanding who we really are in him being Christ.
Right.
Because the only way you learn how to be a man is a man teaches you. And the
Right.
man that can teach us to be a man is Christ, the
Right.
man, the Son of Man. And it is so important, Miss Lenore, for
Yes.
us to clearly grasp the value of the black male.
Right.
We have actually put ourselves in a position where we don't even count on him no more. We just figure he ain't gonna show up.
Ooh, Dr. Hare, that's a mouthful.
So when I some of the initiatives, is one thing that I really am trying to raise money for right now is I want to start a 24, 48, or 72-hour long-term respite for young boys. And I want to call it the Lords of Discipline because we have to begin to teach our youth how to be disciplined. When we go
Mm,
to basketball games, football games, or any type of event that we're going to see someone perform, we're
right.
buying their discipline because they had to be disciplined in order to get to where they are. So when we begin at a young age to teach our boys discipline,
Yes.
then there is nothing in this world that they will not be able to achieve. Actually, they will begin to see who they really are. They will begin to feel different about themselves. If someone
Right.
says something negative about them, well, I know Tony well enough that I know being a hustler all my life is not what my daddy wanted me to be. When people look at my father today, if you want to see how strong my father is, you look at Tony.
Wow.
Because you see my father's strength in me
Yes.
and my brothers. You
Yes.
know, that's what men do for boys. Not saying mama ain't do. Mama is doing all she can. And we love mama for doing
Right.
all she can. But
Right.
one thing she cannot do is raise that boy. That boy needs a man. So fathers, men, period, find
Period.
you a child that you can mentor, that you can come alongside of. If every male found one boy, see, it'll turn into two because that boy got a friend.
Yes.
And that boy's friend got a friend. The next thing you know, you got a troop. And then if we could get Miss Lenore men to go back and start raising your own children, raise your own boys. Just because you and the young lady got together, you can't be together. You came together to have that child.
Okay. Come
Can't you
together
come
to
together to
raise.
raise him? Yeah, because
Yes.
if you don't raise him, somebody like me is counting on you not raising. Somebody like I used to be is counting on you not raising that boy.
I like how you inserted that in there.
Yeah,
Somebody, how
yeah,
I used to be, is
absolutely.
counting on it.
To get the lion, when the lion roars in the
Uh-huh.
jungle,
Uh-huh.
see, every lion cub hears that.
Mm.
The reason that the lion is the king of the jungle is because of his attitude.
Yes.
No matter where the lion goes, the lion sees lunch. Every animal that sees the lion sees themselves as food. They don't think like the lion think. And the lion's not the biggest animal in the
It's
jungle.
not.
He's not the
Mm.
tallest, not the smartest, not any of that.
The
But
elephant
he
is.
has the spirit of leadership.
Hmm. And why is that? Because of his what? Mindset.
His mindset, how he thinks. If we could do anything for people, Miss Lenore, the thing we would want to do is to help them think correctly.
Yes. And let's pause right quick on that. Help them think correctly. Because I want to dig deep in that. But I got a couple more people who chimed in.
Yes,
Brad
ma'am.
Carlson, my brother, he's watching. He said, checking in. He said, you are telling the truth. And Brianna stated, yes, I have a little brother that needs a male mentor. She has a little brother who needs a male mentor. Sherry stated, I believe society is trying to remove the masculinity from the black men. Let's support them and push them up and not down. Absolutely. Absolutely. She also stated a lion looks intimidating. Trina Jackson said Dr. Haire is an example of a true black man that has overcome. I totally agree
To
with
God be the
all
glory.
the statements that I have just put on the screen here. Dr. Haire, you mentioned about changing how a person thinks, their mindset. How can that occur? How can that happen?
The number one way that I believe that you can help a person change how they think is we have to understand what a thought is. You know, people all of our lives, they have told us, you ought to think. Why don't you think? But no one told us how to think. They'd always tell us what to think. But when you begin to understand the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and understanding that the conscious mind can accept, reject, or neglect information, the subconscious mind can only accept what the conscious mind impresses upon it. So if we want to teach people how to think and how to change behavior, then we must introduce new ideas.
Mm.
And the best ideas that we can introduce to people is telling people the truth about themselves. There are several questions that we can ask people, but I believe that one of my instructors taught me that there are 5 very important questions that one has to ask themselves in order to help change how they think.
Okay.
The first question is, who am I? It's a
Mm.
question of identity.
Okay.
Okay. The second question is, where am I from? It's a question of heritage. The third question is, why am I here? A question of purpose. Now, nations, countries, companies, they're searching for the answers to these questions. The
Right.
fourth question would be, what can I do? It's a question of purpose. A question of, and I like to say, a question of potential.
Mm.
See, what
Love
can I
that.
do? A question of potential. Then, where am I going? Where am I headed? When I answer these 4 questions, where am I going from here?
Yes.
When you can answer those questions, and no one else can answer those questions for you, because you are the only you that God created in the entire world. Well, how do you know that,
Mm.
Tony? Here's how I know that.
Okay.
There's only one person that has dentures like yours. There's only one person that has fingerprints like yours. There are no 2 people on the planet Earth out of 7 billion people. There is no one like you. So you don't have to have an inferiority complex about you. You're the
Mm.
only one that can be you. So whatever it is that you're doing, you're number one at it. So when we begin to help people understand that and accept that, no matter what anyone else has to say, you see, because when they got time to tend to your business, that means they're not tending to their business. You
Mm-mm.
can't get caught up in that foolishness, because when you've already made it and you
Okay.
cross the finish line, when you look back, that same person will be back there at Circle K, 7-Eleven, or whatever store in your neighborhood, talking about what they could have been, what they should have done, only if he didn't do that, and talking about the next person that's coming up in line. If they
Okay.
could got time to do all of that, if they took
Uh-huh.
that energy, Miss Lenore, and just put a little bit of that
Little bit.
into themselves, look at what they could become.
You better go ahead, Dr. Hare. And speaking of the Circle K, that's how we met at the Circle
Yeah,
K. But
you're
we'll
right
talk
about
about that
that.
a little bit later.
Yes.
My brother is giving you the hands up. And she also told my brother, link up with Dr. Hare. Absolutely, Joshua. Link up with Dr. Hare. And I love it. Tony put down the top 5. Y'all listen, here it is. Who am I? Where am I from? Why am I here? What can I do? Where am I going? These are the top 5 questions that you can ask
Top
yourself
five.
to help shift your
Yeah.
mindset from being stagnated
Yes.
to getting things accomplished and moving forward. I love that. And I was saying to myself, Tony, oh, I wish someone could type it in the chat, but I didn't want to interrupt him as he
Yeah.
was flowing with his top 5. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Again, y'all, like, share this podcast. I'm telling you, Dr.
Yeah.
Harris is dropping some free golden nugget,
Look at
golden
you.
information that if you have to go to C-Rep or any of those other businesses that you may have to pay a little fee, but he dropping it free on tonight. So share
Look
it
at
with
you.
the people.
Look
Your
at you.
daughter, she said, good stuff, Dad. Honey, not Asia, I agree. Your daddy, he look, good stuff, great stuff, exceptional stuff, phenomenal
Yeah.
stuff. He is dropping the knowledge on tonight. Red X said, "Gots to." That me. See, y'all got the man sweating. He
Yeah.
dropping these niggas so hard. He gotta wipe his face like a real preacher.
Yeah. You know something, Miss Lenore,
Yeah.
my daughter is a very special young lady. My daughter taught me something
Okay.
that no one else in the street could teach me.
Mm.
And we had she was at ECU, going to ECU at the time, and I had to go by her mom's house just to check on her. And it was another reason I was going by there too. But um, we had a few words, and we never really have had words, but she didn't like what I was saying to her, and she got upset, and she, started to raise the roof, voice tones changed, and she was letting me know that she didn't like what I was saying to her. And it's the greatest lesson that I have ever learned. And I say ever learned because up to this point, it has assisted me so much in everyday life. When I seen the level of intensity and the sense of urgency at which she wanted to share her opinion with me, I saw me. I saw
Awesome.
what everybody and what people were afraid of. I saw why it got to the point that when I came around, a lot of the hustlers, a lot of the street people would leave because they knew something was going to jump off at some point in time. You know, after smoking a couple of blunts or whatever the case might be, something getting ready to go off. And I saw that day in my daughter coming at me, and I told her, I said, hold it. Just don't even forget about what I was talking about. Let's talk about this right here, because I did not want that to become an Achilles heel for her. But I
Mm.
saw me
Wow.
in her,
In
and
her.
she showed me what people were trying to tell me for a long time, and I would
Wow.
listen.
Wow.
So parents can learn from your children if you're paying attention.
Yes. And if they listen, because some parents don't want to listen.
No, they don't want to listen.
And
Nah,
I
they
mean,
don't
if the
want to
child come
listen.
in a very respectful way, I'm not talking about coming like in a disrespectful
Oh
way,
yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
adults can learn a lot from children, just like
Yeah.
children can learn a lot from adults. So I
Absolutely.
definitely agree with that. Tracy said, yes, we are number one when we know who we are. And that's reference to what you were stating earlier.
Yes. Yes.
And Bougie Bree said, very passionate in regards to the topic that you're talking on tonight, the various
Yes.
topics, should I say. And Mabel Williams said, awesome stuff he is teaching. I definitely agree. Joshua said, Sherry Dawson sounds like you. I guess when you were talking about her voice was raising the roof, he's
Yeah.
talking about my sister. Sometimes her voice raised the roof.
Yeah.
And your daughter, she gave you some hearts there, some hearts. And Sherry just told Joshua, I'm gonna get this off the screen real quick, but this is Sherry. She said you a lie. So that was some good stuff that you just
Yes,
stated, that
ma'am.
you were able to see yourself through your daughter. Now, Dr. Hare, there was a statement that I want to bring up earlier, and I'm going to bring it. Well, that was brought up early, and I want to bring it back. And I know it's a statement that can be a little contentious, but it's something that can be definitely discussed. And it's the part here. I believe society is trying to remove the masculinity from the black men. Let's support them and push them up and not down. And the reason because of this statement, I'm thinking, especially the latter part, is there's so much like discord amongst some, not all,
Yes.
black women, black men, based upon experience. And so
Mm-hmm.
it gets into a very debatable subject about the black man not doing his
Yes.
part. And,
Yes.
and believe it or not, it pits the two against each other when we should be upholding each other, especially within the black community. Would you like to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that if we would really look at the where that mentality came from, and if
Okay.
we would look back to now, just with the question, I believe society is trying to remove the statement masculinity from the black man. Well, society cannot remove what they never gave.
Mm,
So society never gave masculinity to the black man. We were born
mm,
that way.
right.
Now it's up to the African American male to keep that. But that began to be torn down in 1712 with the
Okay.
Willie Lynch letter.
Come with
You
the
see, when Willie
dates.
Lynch was invited over by the slave owners in Virginia to share with them how they could stop their slaves from running, because Willie Lynch from Britain, he could he had this he had the perfect plantation basically. He didn't have all the drama we were having here in America. So when he was invited to Virginia to what I call put on this leadership development training for these slave owners, one thing that he shared with them in the making of a Negro, one of the chapters in the Willie Lynch letter that you can order. It's a very small booklet, but I would say that every African American and a lot of my Caucasian friends have read it because I wanted them to understand the psychology of what we're dealing with when we talk about you shouldn't be that way or you should change. And it all goes back to Miss Lenora about changing how we think.
Right.
When Willie Lynch began to share with them how to break the black buck, the strong black male. Okay, let's bring everybody out in the plantation to view what we're getting ready to do. And they would take the black male, the strong black male, and they would tie him to a horse on this end, a horse on that, and they would rip his body apart. Seeing something that traumatic, because the objective was get the black woman to lead. If we do this to the black male, break him down, we'll get the black mother to start talking to her sons about submission. We'll get the African-American girl, the black mother, talking to the girl about submitting to the slave master when he wants to have his way with her. As long as we don't put up a fight or a fuss, we'll be all right. Master will let us eat. Master will do this, that, and the third. Now, Willie Lynch said this. He said, if they would keep up this psychology of breaking down the black family, because this is what they were doing. The objective was to break down the black family to the point where they could sell us off. If they kept that up, he said it would last to the year 2013. This was written in 1712.
Wow.
We just in 2021 right now. So now up to 2013. See, because you won't have to keep doing this. We'll use the black woman, to reinforce this mindset, because she's not going to want to lose her black son. She's not going to want to lose her black daughter. She's going to want to keep them under her skirt. And this is the psychology that has penetrated the mindset of the African American family. Now, notice this, Miss Lenore. Throughout the civil rights movement, we rise up. We rise up and then we find ourselves back in the same position again.
Yes.
We rise up for another few years. We find ourselves, the psychology of, when you can teach people how to think correctly, we can get beyond this psychology. We can change our psyche. We can change our thinking. We can begin to understand that we are who God says we are, created in his image. You see what I'm saying? Spirit beings, created in his likeness, able to function like he functions. Right. This is what we have to get back to, the truth. And the truth is the standard by which reality is measured. And reality is measured by the standard that God put, the truth, Jesus Christ.
I'm just full. That's why I didn't respond. I'm full. Just the part of you stating that they ripped them apart.
Yes. Get the letter, read it. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. And so when people say, oh, they ought to get over that, or man, you ain't been where we've been. See, you haven't dealt with what we've had to deal with. And see, our parents, from 1712 to now, look at where we are right now. We got to talk to our young black boys about going out when they get stopped by the police. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
I just got to let it marinate, Dr. Haire. I just got to allow it to marinate.
Yeah. That's why I believe in raising an army of black men. We ain't got time to be playing. This is for real.
It's for real.
We're not at war with the other people, other nationalities. We at war with ourselves. The dialogue we create with ourselves every day. How many times do African Americans tell themselves how awesome they are throughout the day?
Say that again, Dr.
How
Haire.
many times do African Americans tell themselves how
Mhm.
awesome they are throughout the day? What
Mm.
type of dialogue have we created with ourselves? I don't have to wait for somebody to come tell Tony how awesome he is. My father buried that in me.
Mm.
He planted that in me. And as going through life and all I've been through, even the bad stuff was watering and fertilizing the seed that became the man that is today, giving fruit, fruit that has seed to produce more fruit and trees that have seed.
Woo! My goodness.
Man, we
And
ain't
now
playing this for real. It's for
yes,
real.
it's for real, and it's time for us to really get it together.
That's right. That's right.
Richard Carr, who's by the way, he's an elder, he said, "Teach a bit, sir." So he's enjoying it. Thank you so much, Richard Carr, for
My
tuning in.
man
Him and
Richard.
his wife are a phenomenal couple in
Beautiful.
ministry as well. Sherry
Absolutely.
said, "We need a part two of Dr. Haire. Dr. Haire and Lenora Pours." Oh my God. I agree, y'all. Oh, because we can't get it all in here tonight. Richard also said, "Work, sir." Joshua said, "Wow." And he said, "Yeah, I ran some of it." Jay is on. He said, "I'm here, just got out of a meeting. Thank you so much for tuning in, Jay." Oh my goodness, I gotta come up here. I got a lot of these comments here. And
Okay.
Sherry also said, "Dr. Haire, what do you believe about the Black Lives Movement? I know this is a touchy subject."
Um, let's see. The Black Lives Movement. Is she talking about it in the context of Black Lives Matter? Is that well? If that's what we're talking about, uh, I always believe that Black Lives Matter. So I didn't need a group to tell me that. But what I wonder is when will Black lives start to matter to Black people?
Yeah.
You see, we can tell society, Black Lives Matter. We can paint Black Lives Matter around the market house 55 times. But when we walk away from that, what are we, Black people, doing for Black people to show other people that Black Lives Matter?
For themselves.
Yes. I can't
Yeah.
expect someone to respect me if I don't respect me. They got to know how to respect me.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Black Lives Movement, it shouldn't be a movement. It should be a reality.
Mm-hmm.
See, Black Lives reality showing how Black, you remember Grandma and them. Grandma and them weren't the most educated. You see what I'm saying? But Grandma and them had LOVE. Grandma and them weren't the richest, but Grandma and them had LOVE.
Right.
You coming around the table and eat. You going to church on Sunday morning. I don't care how long you stayed out that night. That's the Black Lives reality. See, Black Lives movement, where we moving to? We don't even know where we are. I mean, who leading the movement?
And that's true. And it goes back to this, Dr. Haire. We have to value our own lives
This is what we talking about.
so we can value other people's lives.
That's
Period. And just for me, and I'm
Ooh.
going to record for this, just for me, I don't. People need to research the organization
You need to.
because
You
a lot of
better.
people they jumped on the bandwagon and they don't know what the organization stand for.
They don't know
So
who finances it or anything.
right. So I don't agree with the organization. Period. So yeah.
You
And
know,
I
we're
know
quick.
I have a public image, but I just have to say that people need to research things before they jump on bandwagon and go with things. So I just want to plug that in there. Jay said, "That's the truth, though." And Joshua said, "We are at war with ourselves."
There we go.
Absolutely,
There we go.
absolutely. And Jay said, "I tell myself a billion times." He said, "I tell myself a billion times that he loves himself. He's
You supposed to.
put patting himself on the back, and
That's
we
right.
should do that.
Yeah,
We
that's right.
should do that. Sherry said, "My God, I have chills." I guess that's something that you were referencing earlier. And Joshua said, I bet that mirror tired of you." So I guess he's saying when you constantly go into the mirror telling yourself that, I don't know what he was referencing, but I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Sherry said, "You say you fine and fluffy." Now that was for Jay, because that's how Jay look at himself. He said that
Okay.
he's fine. Actually, he said he's fine and fat.
Yeah.
That's what he said. He said fine and fat, but Sherry trying to fix it up and say fluffy.
Yeah.
And Tony said, "We are at war with ourselves!" Exclamation. How many times do African Americans say how awesome we are to ourselves?
Yes.
That's powerful, and we
Yeah.
should say that. We should say that day in and day out
Absolutely.
there.
You're right. You're
We're
right.
And when you were talking about the seeds, he said, "Come on, seeds." Sherry said yes. And Tony said, "When will Black Lives Matter to Black people?" And that's echoing what you stated earlier.
Yes, ma'am.
And just for the record, we should value all people lives,
There you go.
period. But
Absolutely.
he wants to, Dr. Haire being of a Black male, he wants to make sure that, hey, our Black men and women, we need to get it together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You ever realized that no matter where you go in America, across the social media platforms, no matter where you go in the world, everybody wants to have a part of that African American culture. I don't care where you go, Russia, Afghanistan, I don't care where you go. They want to dance like you. They want to look like you. They want to do everything like you. So since that is a reality, why don't we love like God's love so they'll follow us? Why don't we share like God shares so they'll share like God shares? Why don't we lend a helping hand to others so that they'll follow us in those things too?
Yeah.
Not that we're any better than anyone else, because we were all created in the image and likeness of God. But since they want to follow us, why don't we lead them to the right place?
Yeah. And lead them to God.
Yeah, there you go.
And
Numero
we got to make sure
uno.
that our words
Yes,
align with our ways.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Meaning, we can speak these different scriptures that are
Yes,
in the Bible,
absolutely.
but we got to make sure that those words are basically mirrored day in and day out in our
Yeah,
lives. No, we're not
absolutely.
perfect people. I understand that. We all fall short. We all make mistakes, but we should be leading people at the end of the day to love, which is God.
Hello, VE. That's right. You said it. One thing that you had mentioned about, our word being bond. Back in the day, we used to always say our word was bond. And young cats and young people, they say it a little differently now. But one thing if people can't count on anything else when it comes to you, they should be able to count on your word.
Yeah,
And your behavior should back your word up.
that's right.
Or your behavior can be out front. As I tell a lot of individuals that I deal with in leadership development, put yourself in a position where they will invite you to the table. See, with
Mm,
your behavior. And when they invite you to the table, don't go trying to tell them what's going on. Be a good listener. Take notes. Even if you're not writing down what they saying, they don't know it, but you are taking notes, which makes them feel important.
right.
Now they're talking more and you are writing more. And then someone will ask you, Lenore, what do you think about that? Now the door is being opened for you.
Right.
This works.
Oh, I'm sure you are a living testament
It
to
works.
that. It definitely does work. Marjorie said, "This message is from God. We really need to listen to this over and over and don't take it lightly." Definitely agree with that. Joshua, Red X, it's definitely hard trying to get us to come together.
Yes.
However, Dr. Haire has dropped some nuggets on how we can start at least moving forward in bringing us together. Sherry said, show enough, they show do. I don't know what that's for, but she did say, come on now, Lenore Dawson Lassiter. I do know what that is for.
Yeah.
And Tony said, our words align with our ways. Absolutely. Dr. Haire, I think you built your own table. That's what Sherry is saying.
Okay. Tell her she's invited to dine with us then.
All right. He said you can come on and dine with him at this table. Brianna said strategic.
Yeah.
And Roderick said wisdom. And he also stated, I appreciate those nuggets, Dr. Haire. You know, Roderick is my brother-in-law that you saw at Walmart a couple of
my
weeks
man, Roderick, my man.
Yes. So, Dr. Haire, listen, I know we're going to have to get back for another show, but I
Yes,
want to ask you this question. What was the changing part? What took place in your life that led to your transformation?
I would say I was in Smitty's, a bar here on the Murchison Road back in the day. Smitty's was like our headquarters on the Merc. You know,
Okay.
all the hustlers, everybody met at Smitty's. And I was there one night. The whole while I was hustling because of the way my father brought me up. And my Don can tell you this. He lives here in Fayetteville, the guy that put me down. I always believed the example my dad set before me about Jesus Christ.
And
I just
can I ask
didn't
you
want.
real quick? What
Yes.
was your dad? I mean, what was your dad, a minister? Was
Well,
he
he's a pastor. My dad's been
a
pastor
pastor?
for like 40. He's been pastoring, I know, 43 years, I think
Okay.
now. Our home church was Friendship Baptist here, but he pastors the Love Center in Dunn, North Carolina. But my
Okay.
dad and my mom always taught me and my brothers and my sister about Jesus and who Jesus was and what he would do if we would allow him to do. So
Mhm.
no matter what I was doing in the street hustling, I'd come home and the word would be calling me. I'd go study, man. I'd go read the Bible. Get up the next day, cook up my crack cocaine, bag it up, and go distribute. One night I went to Smitty's. I had my last 11 OZs. And I was just kind of like, I was troubled for a while, you know, in my mind, because I knew I was going against, well, it was just pulling at me. And I was sitting in Smitty's and I knew that night that my life had to change. Now, fast forward.
Okay.
I moved to Durham, North Carolina, and that's when Durham was like the murder capital of North Carolina. And then I got up there thinking that geographical location was going to change how I think. I got up there and got worse and almost caught a body. So one day I was in my apartment, Residence Inn, these luxury suite apartments on South Roxborough Road. And I got ill and I had to go to the hospital. And when I was in the hospital that night, Miss Lenore, as I laid in the bed, I don't know if it was 1:15 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but two people came up to the side of my bed. Now, back at my apartment, I got my Mercedes, I got my drop top, I got my 6, 7 different cars out there because I'm living. I mean, ain't nobody can tell me what to do but me because I'm at the top of the food chain now. As I laid in that bed, those two people came up to the side of my bed and they said, "We're watching over you." I looked down at the foot of my bed and the devil said, "So am I." Right, my life changed. That next day when I got out of the hospital, I got up to go to the restroom. Now at my apartments, we had this beautiful balcony, and outside of the balcony were just pine trees and just beautiful, just a wooded area. Wow. And I would normally go out there in the morning and with a blunt and a glass of Remy Martin, and you know, it didn't matter what time of the morning it was because that's what I did, preparing my mind to take care of business that day. Right. And while out there, that particular day, I went out to the patio. That was after I came from the bathroom And while in the bathroom, because our parents would teach us to say our prayers, I got on my knees, Miss Lenore, the day after I got out of the hospital. And I said my normal prayers, like, just habit of praying. And I said, Lord, forgive me of my sins. I said, I accept your son, Jesus Christ, as my Lord and my Savior. I said, now teach me how to be a man. I got up, walked out to that balcony. When I went through those French doors and I left them open, when I looked out and saw the pine trees that day, I saw what my grandmother always told me. I was blind, but now I see, because I saw a spider in a spider web in the pine tree that was the greenest pine tree I ever seen in my entire life. And I saw the colors on that spider. I saw God in nature. From that day, I have not stopped running for Jesus and never will stop running for Jesus, because I know who is the author and finisher of my life. I'm sold out.
Wow.
I'm sold out.
From the hospital bed
Yeah.
to seeing the shining light and saying, hey, you got to change.
I had to change.
Yes, you
I had
did.
been going against the grain so long. And before he was not going to allow me to self-destruct. He knew I wasn't going to quit.
Ooh.
Because he didn't create a quitter. See, he didn't create a quitter. The winner was just using his gift for the wrong reason. He knew I wasn't going to quit. So I'm like the Apostle Paul. I met him on the Damascus Road, but I met him at the hospital in Durham.
I love that. At least he had to knock you off of a donkey, a horse, whatever
No,
animal it
ma'am.
was.
No, ma'am.
He
He
just
you
had
know.
to put you on the bed and have
That's
a
right.
conversation.
That's what happened. That is what happened. And I will never forget that that experience. And no one can tell me that wasn't the Lord. And Miss Lenore, I'm gonna drop this on you.
Okay.
I moved to Fuquay-Varina.
Okay.
And this is after I'd accepted Christ and I had another experience with him. I was laying in the bed and this man walked right up to right at my bed. You know how you can experience something and it's got you shaky, you nervous, and you don't want to turn around and look at it. You know something is there, but you don't want to turn around and look because you're too afraid. But I said, I got to turn around and look and see what's going on, because I'm not scared of anything. So as I attempted to turn around, this man in this he was in a gold, it was, all I know was everything was gold, and he was carrying chains. All I heard was the chains dragging across the wood floor, going out the back door of the house. From that day forward, I
Right.
felt free with
Right.
nothing to hinder me, no shame about me and what I've been involved in, nothing. I felt free
Yeah.
to witness the gospel of Jesus Christ. And from that day forward, I
You've
just
been
been a
running.
witness, man. Yeah, this
Yeah.
thing is real. This ain't no game. Jesus is real and alive, and he's coming back again. If you don't believe me, live long enough.
I believe you. I
Well,
didn't
you know,
live. I didn't live a little long. I know I look young, but still,
yeah,
I lived a
yeah.
little long, little time. But listen, Dr. Haire, if you see on the
Yes, ma'am.
screen, we're gonna have to bring you back for a part two. The
I
people are
know.
asking already, part two, part two, part two. So we're gonna have to bring you back for a part two. But I have to show this. And for those who are watching and those who still, hanging on with us, listen. The way Dr. Haire and I met was on Juneteenth, June
Yeah, it was
19th.
that. Yeah.
It was that day. My sister and I, we were in Fuquay Varina, and her husband, we had left the show. And look, she telling me to sit down. I'm not sitting down. I'm talking, sister. So I'm about to hide your comment. How about that? Hide just like that. If I can get it. There you
Yeah.
go. So I told him, I said, you know what? I need to go to the ATM and get my money out of the ATM for Sunday. So we rode to the Circle K. And y'all, let me show y'all what I saw when I pulled up to the Circle K. He told me I could show this. So I'm going to show this. This is what I saw when I pulled up to the Circle K, and I told my sister and her husband, I said, we're going to sit right here. I'm glad we can still see each other on the screen while this is in the center. I said, I'm going to sit right here. And I want to see who is driving this Rolls Royce. That's the Rolls Royce, right?
Yeah, it's a race.
Okay. I had to make sure I remember my cars because the Bentleys, and I know the Bentleys. So I said, who's driving this car? So I sat there. They said, you gonna wait? And I said, yes, just back right up. And my sister car, if you can see her car in this picture, is not the lady that's at this tire, but her car is in the corner. Yes, right there. I was literally sitting there. So when he came out, I never forget, you had on a lime green shirt and black shorts. I walked right. I said, excuse me, sir. He said, yes. I said, is this your vehicle? He said, yes, it is. I said, do you mind if I take a look at it? And y'all, when I tell you, I've never seen a Rolls Royce like this. I mean, he had the running lights up and down in the dash. I mean, it's really nice. So I think I can take that off now. But it was like really nice. But we created a conversation based upon his car, and he shared with me. He said, you know what? I came from the streets. Now I'm a professional, and just seeing the success that a person can achieve. It doesn't have to be achieved in the streets, but it can be strategically achieved in the boardroom.
Yes.
It can be achieved through you utilizing your talents, your gifts, your abilities, through your business, through your education, through a technical trade.
Yes.
And if you don't even have that, you can have some skills where you can leverage and make some money and have anything that you desire and you want.
Yes, absolutely. You
can
have it all.
I just had to share the audience that information. And Sherry said, I'm the COO, don't play. So basically she's telling me, as a producer, Dr. Haire, she's coming for me.
Okay.
And Joshua said, which one? It was a Circle K, Joshua. And Sherry, why you had to tell where it was at? But this is where it was at. Yes. So if y'all see it, that's Dr.
She got Methodist. Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Haire. So Dr. Haire, again, it was a pleasure. I'm gonna have to
thank
do that
you.
for part 2. I had a blast talking to you.
Yes,
and I'm sure the audience had a blast. And I just want to say thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It's still not too late to share this podcast. And it will be uploaded on YouTube later. And everyone, have a good night. Dr. Haire, hang on. And we're going to chat just a little bit before I go and read this comment. It said, thank you, Sherry, for your invite. I really needed to hear this. Good food for the soul. So it was good food for the soul on tonight. And also, Tony said, thank you so much. You're welcome, Tony. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. We appreciate it. We love y'all. This man is a working man. I'm a working woman. We got to get us some rest and got other things we got to do. So we got to get off this live. But y'all, make sure that you keep your notifications set. Follow Lenora Ports. Invite people to follow Lenora Ports. We didn't even get to talk about all the businesses that Dr. Haire and how. Before we end, Dr. Haire, tell people how they can reach out to you. Do you have a website they can follow you real quick?
Yes, ma'am. They go to www.johnmaxwellgroup.com/Tony Haire, or you can go to TonyHaireMinistries.com. Those two websites, you can catch me.
All right. Thank you so much, y'all. Good night. I'm hitting the red button. No more questions. No more comments. Y'all just look for part 2. I love you guys. Thank you so much. And until next time, remember, you were born for a purpose, and that purpose is to pour into the lives of others. Good night, everyone.